Hey guys, this is JWE2. I know I haven't made a video in a long time as I've been working on this one. So today I am going to be giving a walkthrough of a Jurassic Park, Jurassic World Evolution 2 park. I'm very proud of it. It's very big. I almost filled up an entire Taiga Square, so if you know what that is, then you know how big this thing is. So, how this works is there's a ton of exhibits. It's very big and quite laggy, so this video is gonna be laggy. But so I've got all kinds of dinosaurs, and I can't find this. So how this park works is I sort of have an idea for how you go through it. So you start here at the entrance of I don't remember what this building's called. And you are able to look at some exhibits. So if you want to go to the rest of the park, you have to go through the visitor center and do all the sign-up stuff and all that. But just for this area, we've got a bathroom somewhere. There's a toilet bathroom here. There's a shelter there. No restaurants or anything because you haven't entered the main park. And you've got a couple attractions here just for people to enjoy if they don't want to buy the tickets to enter the park. So what we've got here is we have this enclosure, which is actually the first one I built. It's the Iguanodon enclosure. So we have adults, which are the male, that blue and yellow. The blue one with the yellow stripes is the adult male. And this brown one here is the subadult female. And then we also have Lystrosaurus somewhere. They're in here somewhere. And there's also an adult female Iguanodon and a subadult male. And then the other two viewing galleries are for the Spinosaurus. Sorry about the loud sound right under a zipline. By the way, that zipline, you can't leave the park through it. You start over there. So the Spinosaurus viewing gallery looks into the Spinosaurus enclosure. The Spino's hiding right now, but I'll come back later. And when you're ready to enter the rest of the park, so I just get over there, you go through here, the visitor center, which has some restaurants, some bathrooms, some gift shops, etc. You can buy tickets, and then when you're done, you come out here. I'm out this side, just pretend I didn't do that. You come out this side, and ta-da, you're in the park proper. So the monorail station is here. There's many parts of the park that can only be accessed by monorail or by park tour. Mostly just monorail. We have the Innovation Center. There's a viewing gallery here for the Baryonyx enclosure, which is this one here. So, we've got a nice little fountain. And we've got a loop of path around the Innovation Center with a couple offshoots. So, for example, here you come down Hotel Lane, as I like to call it. It's got a bunch of hotels. Oh yeah, there's also some parts of the park that are only accessible by a zip line. So we're gonna take that zip line to one of those spots. But this is the Pyroraptor enclosure. So what I did here is use the invisible fence to make it so that as you're walking up the path, you can look into the enclosure and maybe see some raptors. So at the top of this hill here, we've got a bathroom and some more paths down the hill, and a viewing gallery where you can look at our Pyroraptors. We have 6 here, and they're all differently colored, but you can't see any of them from here right now. If I go back down the way I came, da-dee-da-dee-da. I'm gonna have to split this into multiple parts, aren't I? Oh well. So go here. This is to one of the remote viewing galleries, specifically that log gallery up there. So you can come in and look through, and look, you can see some of the raptors now. The other side looks out into nothing, so it's not, so you don't want to use it. But yeah, you can see some of the raptors. That's a person. But we've got our white one and our green one down there. Is that greenie? No, that's the brown one, I think. But anyways, further this way, we can go to the side of the park opposite that one. I actually completed the other side of the park, that side, the far side, first. Oh, the Baryonyxes. I almost forgot. So the first two enclosures I made were the Iguanodon enclosure, which is actually on a little island that I'm going to show you guys later, the zipline, and the Baryonyx enclosure, which is mainly viewable by hotels. So if you get one of these two hotels, you can go out onto your balcony and look out and see a Baryonyx. So their enclosure is mostly water, but there is some land in there for them to walk on. They've got a feeder over there and some rocks and stuff. That's the second hotel on that side. So up here is the Raptor Hill. This is the viewing gallery into the Pentaceratops enclosure. But you can see there's the adult, that's a female. And if you look down here, so I'm doing a thing where I have juveniles. That I'm just using other dinosaurs or other forms of the same one to make juveniles. So here, no, that's another adult. But I'm using Chasmosaurus, like you can see some over there. You can see them over by the water. See? That little thing there. The little ones, those are Chasmosaurus, and I'm using them as juveniles. And then this viewing gallery here is the first Oranosaurus enclosure. There's a much larger one farther south, because since this is the top end of the park, I refer to this as the north end, so that's one of the juveniles. There she is. So there's a single adult female and her two juveniles. They're not part of the main herd because this little group here is separate from the main herd. So this is an entire herd here, and then we have another one. Separate herds of Oranosaurus are not very tolerant for each other. That's why I have these guys alone. That's sort of the reason I made up in my head for the headcanon. Okay, next the zipline. So there's actually a section sandwiched in between multiple dinosaur enclosures that is only visible, enterable by zipline. So I'm actually gonna enter that now. So this zipline goes over the Chasmosaurus, or Pentaceratops. There's also Chasmosaurus here, but they're juveniles. So there's one there. This one goes over the Pentaceratops enclosure. So once you're here, this is a pretty small and pretty crowded area because there's a lot of very popular dinosaurs here. Because that enclosure, this big aviary, doesn't actually have its main attraction they're not pterosaurs. This is where we house our adult Indominus rexes. The juveniles are kept separately. And I took a lot of ideas from Evolution Squared for this park in general. Actually, the main inspiration for making it was Evolution Squared because it's one of the channels that I follow. So I used a lot of the tips, like using a Trosraptor for Juvie and Dominuses. But, yeah, so thanks to Evolution Squared for inspiring me for this video, and go sub to Evolution Square because it's a good channel that posts good content. So yeah. Oh, here's one. So there are Indominus Rexes. They're visible because they had a fight. So one has a couple scars on it. There they go socializing. So we've got a male and a female. There's no sexual dimorphism in the Indominus Rexes. So yeah. But there's a male and a female. The male is done with the scars. And we also have some Geostedbergia in here that share it with the Indominus, and they just kind of stay out of the big dinosaurs' way, because if they don't, they'll get eaten. So this is a female. The males have patterns on their crests and bodies. How I did a lot of the male-female is the male was the version that had a pattern. The female was the one that didn't. So this is a female. I'm gonna try to see. Okay, there's a male over in the distance. You can see his brightly colored crest and his pattern blades. They use their crests to impress females and try to reproduce. Wild they would, and they do it here. So, as you can see, this zip line goes over the Tyrannosaurus Rex enclosures. In fact, I have 4 separate T-Rex enclosures because. So there's one for the adults, which is the one we're about to go over. There's one for the little babies, which is next door. One for the juveniles, which is also next door. And then one on the far side of the park for the teenagers. I keep them all separate because functionally it just didn't work. Like if I ever turned off all dinosaurs like each other, they would try to kill each other. But also, the canon theory I came up with is the teenagers and the adults don't get along very well. The babies, it's better to keep them separate because that way they can get all the care they need. And same with the babies. They just do better separate. These adults, they're not very good parents. Most T-Rexes are with these ones. Sorry, real life intrusion there. So yeah, let's go over. So we have 2 adult T-Rexes. One is named Sue, that's the female, obviously, and one is named Stan, it's the male. I actually tried to name all, or at least as many as I could, of the T-Rexes after real-life fossils. So obviously Sue is the most famous T-Rex fossil ever, and Stan is another very important fossil. There's also Scotty, but I didn't know this one. So these guys, I'm using Moros and Trepidus as T-Rex babies because everyone does. And their names are not inspired by fossils because I couldn't find any. So yeah, this is their transport container because we only really need one because of how small they are. This is because they're just hatchlings. So yeah. So almost every dinosaur in the park, well most of them, have a transport container either in their exhibit or at the staff area. By the way, these are the heating lamps. They sit near these things to warm up. And that's for transporting. It's for transporting the dinosaurs. And now for the last one. The Cretaceous, which I am using as substitutes for, well, juvenile T-Rexes. So, the alpha is named Jane after the fossil, because, again, I tried to do that as much as possible. If I just come in here, there's no sexual dimorphism between the T-Rexes, by the way. And I tried to give them all the same pattern, which is blue with red, so they start out a weird brownish color as the Moros and Trepidus. But they become, they become blue with a lot of brown, then less brown, and basically their color changes from, so yeah, their names are Billy Bob, Benny, and Betty. So yeah, I'm not very good at naming names, okay? I can do that actually. So yeah, so there's the Indominus Rex aviary enclosure thing. And I'll show you guys the teenage T-Rexes next, after this stretch. So here, there's a big enclosure here that I'll get into later. So ignore that for now. Oh, I actually have down right here. Oh, this is the juvenile Indominus Rex enclosure. There's another enclosure behind it. It's one of the biggest. There's 2 really big ones right next to each other, but I'll get into those later. So, we keep the Indominuses separate ages separately because they don't get along. So these are what the juveniles look like. They have raised. Their second toe is raised off the ground, similar to raptors, but they just use it to help them climb to get away from the adults. Again, these are actually the Atrociraptors, so I had to make up an explanation for the sickle claw, but I'm explaining canon things here. So yeah, that raised claws an adaptation for keep it safe. And they haven't grown in their scutes or horns yet. But they do have very large hand claws already, so you can see their arms starting to develop. But these guys mostly hunt by speed, and they also survive by speed. And then in here is, well, as the sign says, Brachiosaurus. So if I enter the building, you can see that we have, so this guy is actually an entirely different species, subspecies Brachiosaurus. So the two subspecies are Brachiosaurus nublarensis, meaning so nublarensis means from nublar, because these are the ones from Isla Nublar. And this is the one from Isla Sorna, so its species name is Sornaensis. That's why I did a lot of the variants from different places. So this is the 2001 variant, this is the default. So this is the male Nublarensis. You can tell because he has that green patch, which is, again, a thing to impress the ladies. This is the female, and this is the kid. I used Camarasaurus as its stand-in. And this guy's here mostly because I don't have anyone else to put on. This is a male, by the way. You can tell by the bright color on the head. We don't have any females of Sornaensis here. So, yeah. And next, let's go down here. I think this is, yeah, this is it. So this is the Ceratosaurus enclosure. I always have one of these because I like Ceratosaurus. So, yeah, that's why this is here. So, it's got a pretty big enclosure. It's just one. His name is Cert. Because, again, I'm not very good at naming things. By the way, this park is named Cretaceous Canada too, because I've named a lot of my parks Cretaceous Canada because I like to use the Canadian maps. So the very first park I actually made in this game is called Cretaceous Canada. So this is sort of like, this is nearby and it's Cretaceous Canada 2. People go to the original because it's the original, but this is the bigger one. This is the newest one. It's the biggest. And it's got the most stuff in it. So this is still part of the Brachiosaurus enclosure, by the way. They have a pretty big enclosure. So here we have our cinema, and this is our fossil zone. Basically, this is where we teach people about dinosaur fossils, and there's also a little museum in here. This enclosure here is for Allosauruses. We have two. So, I've used the Battle of Big Rock. Allosaurus is the female, and the default is the male. So here, yeah, that's the female. There's quite a lot of sexual dimorphism in Allosaurus. So, yeah. Let's see if I can find the male. Is he here? So he does one of the same, but she's looking right at us right here. Her name's Barbara, because not very creative, so oh, there's the male. He's in the background. Can you see him moving? So, yeah, he's just gonna walk behind those trees, but yeah. The male has larger crests, a lighter build, and larger spikes. The lighter build is because, well, he's smaller. Oh, here he is. You can actually see the difference here. I'm just gonna pause the game real quick. So if you can see, he has larger tail spikes and a less heavy build. The males tend to hunt faster prey. These guys tend to duke it out. They have different teeth, so these guys are so different, they would look like different species, but they're from the same species, so that's kind of cool. That's how much sexual dimorphism exists in this species, in Allosaurus. So, yeah. And then if I go in here, so yeah, here's the fossil zone. We've got some decorations up here because I had a big empty space. We'll get to the monorail soon, so actually I'm gonna just get on the monorail and pretend I didn't do this, just pretend like I took the monorail back to the beginning, which is... What the heck is it? Got lost. Okay, so So I came out here. Just pretend I didn't do that. I'm gonna cut that out. So like, just pretend I just went in, please. I come back. So that was basically that entire side of the park. That's what I'm gonna cover now in this tour. So we've got some restaurants this way, a zip line. For no reason other than transport, because these guys help with your transport rating, and they're less in the way than monorails. So that's why I have a lot, just to make transport a bit easier. So this right here is, if you can't tell, the Therizinosaurus enclosure. Yeah, we have one Therizinosaurus here, in case you can't tell already. I like blue and yellow, but because I have a lot of dinosaurs colored that way. There's a viewing gallery here. So we have one Therizinosaurus who lives near the staff area, which is on the other side of that wall, and I can't show you because it's the staff area. I guess I'm gonna show you guys, but in the next episode, because I'm definitely gonna have to split this into two. So this is just the other end of that zip line from earlier. That zip line is just for transport. This zip line here goes over the Iguanodon enclosure, which is actually more or less an island. It's actually made up of a little peninsula part here, a smaller island there, and then one here. The Lycosaurus are only on this island because they can't cross the water, so they're confined to this little island here. So yeah, I think that was one of the first enclosures I made, so I'm pretty proud of it. So yeah, let's just get back to where we were. By the way, guests aren't allowed to do that because that's not paying. The park can't make money like that. So yeah. So anyways, so I think we've pretty much gone through everything that we can in this area. Oh right. This area, this north, it's farther north. Wait, no, that's south. North is south. I'm just splitting everything into segments at this point. So here is, if I'm correct, this is one of the Stegosaurus enclosures. I think it's Nublarensis, but I could be wrong. Yeah, this is the Nublarensis enclosure. So we have two species, Swarnensis and Nublarensis. Yeah, this is Nublarensis. So if I look around, here's the male. He's the one with the colorful plates. We only have one male because the males fight a lot. And then we have 3 females, and their juveniles are somewhere else. So if we just go here, okay. Let's realign my mouse here. So this is the gyrosphere ride, and we have a couple of exhibits that are designed for tours. I actually have a lot of these things because I don't have enough space to make too many viewing galleries. If I go in here, let's just enter the video. This is the Jeholopterus enclosure. This is where they live. I have these guys because they're cute. I think they're cute. Other people, I mean, if you don't think they're cute, then you don't think they're cute, but I do, so, yeah. So they live here. Yeah, this guy agrees with me, he likes them. This guy's Chad. He's cool. It's just a regular piece. So if I go down here, I don't really want to take the... Oh yeah, we have this. This is our lagoon island. The reason I call it a lagoon island is because it's a really big lagoon that is 2 species. It's got 3 Mosasaurus and I think like 6-ish, 7 Plesiosaurus, maybe 8, I don't remember. And then on the middle in this island, you should be able to see them. There they are. You have Majungasaurus. That's on this island. So there's one more. So they actually are unable to escape, because to escape they'd have to swim. They can't swim. So yeah, ignore that forest over there. It's not on the park property. So if I go this way, we have some viewing galleries for the lagoon, which this lagoon is actually one of the most popular exhibits because it's big. It has 3 mosasaurs in it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It's got 3 mosasaurs in it. So if I go down here, we have our Chunkingosaurus. There is 7 of them, if I recall correctly. No, wait, no, there's only 6. I can't remember. We've got a bunch. I'm gonna have to double check. But yeah, that's our Chunkingosaurus herd. They all have different colorations. So I'm just going to. So I've got a lot of viewing galleries for the lagoon because yeah, it's pretty popular. People are gonna want to see it because there's 3 Mosasaurus. So just going back, let's see if we can spot the Jungosaurus again. Here's one. So this one's just chilling. We've also got another one here. They blend in pretty well, actually. I could just color them gray and their pattern. Oh, look. So there's a Mosasaurus here. Yeah. So that's the first thing. I'm not sure how long this video is going to be. I might need to edit this one into multiple parts. Jeez, I need to edit this one. So yeah. So that's this area. I guess I've shown. Oh wait, no, there's something else. If I am not mistaken. Yeah, it was just there. Okay. That was not what I thought it was. So I guess we're doing the gyrosphere. So how this works is you just get in and we have the gyrosphere. So the 3 dinosaurs that are in the gyrosphere. So this enclosure here. So now I'm just gonna. So this gyrosphere currently is in the Carnotaurus enclosure, where we have this one who is scarred from a fight he had as a baby with this guy who won originally, who lost but didn't actually. He won the fight, but then this guy ended up becoming the alpha. It's weird. So let's see if we can find another one. So this one's in front of the gate. Where are you? Oh, this is the Muttaburrasaurus enclosure. So if you look here, in the middle of the screen, there is a Muttaburrasaurus. So you can actually see the Carnotaurus through here. I'm just gonna go down here. Let's go into first-person view here, because there's gates. So this here, let's see if I can find them. Is here we go. The Cretaceous enclosure. Cretaceous. Oh, Cretaceous, because that sounds better. But yeah, this is the Cretaceous. Named after Michael Crichton. They're small ankylosaurs. Carnotaurus, we've got 2. Pretty empty enclosure, because those guys are speed hunters, so they'd rather have empty than camo. And here are our Dilophosaurus, who rather than go for camouflage, they start being noisy, but for bright colors because they're venomous. So it's a warning to predators, of which they have a lot. If they didn't have their venom, this is a warning so that they don't have to use their venom. Kind of like brightly colored venomous snakes. They are also pretty fast, and that's how they get most of their food. Their venom and their speed. And yeah, the Muttaburrasaurus, okay. So let me just. Oh, yep, this is. I have a lot of double gates all over just to prevent escapes, like this one. So if the dinosaurs manage to get through one gate, they won't be able to get through the other. This is our choker enclosure. If the dinosaurs come in here, they'll be stuck. There's yet another gate. We can also just store dinosaurs in here. This is our dinosaurs. Pop out. Oh. Actually, I did that wrong. So this is where are you? This is the Dimetrodon enclosure. I have this because I built it. I don't really have a reason, I just do. So this is where the Dimetrodons live. These guys are mostly scavengers, but because of their armored suits, they have pretty strong defenses. So, anyways. And the last one is the Metaburosaurus, who look like this. The black stripes are for defense and for showing off because I felt like it. So yeah, these guys are actually pretty fast. And this is where they live. So there's a little, so this park is actually largely built around one water system. So we have a main lake here. So basically it goes all the way down to here. So this lake here has has a bunch of enclosures. It actually goes all the way down to here, so that's actually the water here in the Baryonyx enclosure. It's the water in the Ceratops enclosure. It's this teeny little bit of water in the Tyrannosaurus enclosure. It's big in the Tyrann. So the arrival point is actually on a little peninsula, a little jut of land sticking out into the lake here, that's separate from this island here. So the Iguanodon enclosure is made up of this peninsula, this little land jut here, this little island here, and this island here, which is, again, the permanent home of the Lycosaurus because they can't swim in deep water. We also have, this is, I believe, this is the Amargasaurus enclosure, which is this little beach here, bit of stuff over here, this little island, the rest of this, it's this lake. We have the Spinosaurus enclosure on this lake, and again, this little arm of water here is still in the lake. So this lake has a lot of islands. There's this one, 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 there's this one. There's tons of islands here. Not over here, though. That's why there aren't any exhibits here. Oh, yeah. And then there's a little river that goes off out this way. So there's a bunch of exhibits on the river. So we've got the Suchomimus exhibit, which both goes into the main lake and has this river. It's got a beach and this little piece of land here, which is actually connected to this land here. Then next door we have the Albertosaurus, which their exhibit's actually a bit up. It's on a bit of a hill, so they have to go down a little cliff to get to the water. And then the river continues until the main Oranosaurus enclosure. This is where the large herd live. And we've got a female and a male Styracosaurus in here. A couple islands here too. So this one's really rocky. This is actually part of this land here. Where is it? I'm pretty sure. It might actually be an island of its own though, as this water goes around. There's a little island here and an island here. Then it continues, and then we get to the Megalosaurus enclosure. So I'm just going to give you guys a peek at the herd. So this is a juvenile. It's a pretty big herd. So this is a female. That's the adult female that we saw earlier. I'm trying to find the adult male Oranosaurus 6. This is the leader of the herd, this bull. And then we've got the two Styracosaurus. Stacy, who looks like this and is scarred from fights with predators that managed to get into her old enclosure. And Styrax, her mate. And then we have the Megalosaurus, of which there are 4. So there's this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. The first two are pretty stealthy. The first two are kind of stealthy. This one, meh, and this one is even trying to hide with his big flag. And of course, we have a Quetzal named Pretzel, because that's something I always do, because it's funny. So yeah, it's a Quetzalcoatlus named Pretzel. It's really not that special. It's just the thing that I do. And it's always got these colors too, because I like it. Again, you're probably noticing a theme here with the blues and yellows. That's because it's on purpose. I'm doing it on purpose. This is the Sornaensis, Stegosaurus enclosure. Stegosaurus sornaensis. This is the Chronosaurus lagoon. Again, yellow and blue. So I like it. So this is our Chronosaurus. This is where he lives. Oh, shoot, I forgot to name him. I'm gonna do that right now. I always name him Chronos, which is the thing that they're named after, and also because it sounds cool. The Chronos is the god of time in Greek mythology. Father of time, god of the sky. Yeah, he's god of time, titan of time. I don't know what he counts as. He's in a weird spot. But yeah, this is actually my favorite marine reptile, Chronosaurus. And then we have the Attenborosaurus in here. Nothing really special about them. They're just zebra colored because why not? And because I'm not doing that tour thing anymore, I guess I can drop it. This is where we keep our Ankylosaurus nublarensis. We don't have any Sornaensis, but I did this anyways. So they're both males. This is Nick, and this is Hank Jr. Pretty easy to tell apart. Nick's the alpha. And here we go. These are the subadult T-Rexes. There's Strixie and Tristan. So, I actually find the Changosaurus to not only be functionally good as subadult T-Rexes, but they're also pretty scientifically accurate when you look at the body build of these guys in this game. Thin, narrow snout that definitely could not handle the bite force an adult could produce, and could not produce that bite force. Long legs and a light build that is quite obviously designed for speed. So yeah, I find these guys to be really good. And then we have some Diplodocus in here, because I wanted to. So we've got a male and a female. The male has faint green stripes on his back. Faint blue, sorry. Faint green something else. So yeah, this is the male, and that's the female. They live right next door. This is actually a really interesting tour, at least in my opinion, that I made. Because these enclosures here are actually pits. They're divots. They're down. So the car from the tour is up here at the top, and there's a wall between it, so that the dinosaurs can't get at each other. So you just are basically, when you're on this, so you're always looking at the right side of your car, so that's the seats that you want to get. So you're looking out, and you can see the dinosaurs. Then they will come around here, go through this gate, turn around. I have the little T-Rex signs up, because that's sort of tell you, hey, we're going into the T-Rex enclosure. Turns around and goes down. And you can see some subadult, teenage, whatever you want to call them, T-Rexes. We've got a hotel here. There's some viewing here for the Tyrannosaurus enclosure. Yeah, it's part of this land. So we've got a little shade shelter. I like to make these out of these trees because it works. And let's go back here. This is what the Megalosaurus enclosure looks like. It's located at the end of the river. Oh yeah. So we've got multiple hotels here. The restaurant, it's actually a smoothies place. We have all three different types of viewing platforms because I wanted to. Looking into the Dinokairos enclosure, we have a male, he's the one with blue and the stripe, and a female, who's the one that doesn't have the blue with the stripe. Yeah, that's kind of how I do this now. We've got the fish and their food. They got plenty of food, and I put a lamp underwater because I could. I know that one's this lamp's like slightly above the surface of the water again because I could, so I did. We've got an arcade, a little circle area around a fountain. I made a lot of those for I don't know why. this is a stretch of water here that is split, and it's a ditch basically, like, that goes down and split in two. So on this side is the Parasaurolophus herd. So we've got Parasaurolophus. This one's a female. This one's a male. The males are this is a male. This is alpha. And this is a female. And I have used the Dryosaurus as the juveniles. Parasaurolophus. They're just gray. Yeah. They haven't even started growing their head crests yet. And then in here is much more interesting. We actually have a small group of Parasaurolophus in here. A small herd with a couple of juveniles. And I'm running a Iguanodon who was kicked out of the main herd for trying to steal the alpha's mate. You don't do that in Iguanodon culture, so we got kicked out. And this is the Dreadnoughtus artificialis. It's what I call the Jurassic Park inaccurate versions of animals when there's a more accurate version in the game, so just artificialis. And then the more accurate one I call by the actual species name. It's how I sort of distinguish them. So yeah, these guys are pretty dang big, and then I've used the Apatosaurus as the juveniles because it works. So yeah, there's a lot of ideas to learn from. So, for example, Evolution Squared. Revolution Square? I can never remember that name. Sorry, but yeah, she makes great videos. Subscribe to her. Because you're probably not going to subscribe to me because my videos suck. Well, by suck I mean they're not really all that good because I don't know. I'm working on it. Okay, guys? I'm working on it. So what's in here? Oh, yep, this is the T-Rex enclosure. Okay, I actually have a lot of these things where I just built. Okay, the game is being really loud now. I have a lot of these things where I just built. Where I just made like massive minor herds of herbivores, like Parasaurolophus and stuff, because I wanted to. Like I just felt like it. So this place, how this thing works is that it's actually inspired by, for example, the Toronto Zoo, because that's the only zoo I've really been to. That's the zoo I've been to a lot. But it's like a lot of this, like the animal behavior, how they're trying to keep it, like this is designed as a zoo, like an actual zoo in real life, where they're trying to keep the animals as safe as possible. So here, we should get a better view of Sturts here. So he's moving. Yeah. So he's pretty well camouflaged. This is his transport cage, because he needs one for transport. This is the Brachiosaurus. They like to hang around here. So Blake, so Brandon's the male Nublarensis, Brienne's the female Nublarensis, and Blake is the Sornaensis male. This is the kid, Cameron. So here we have both species. So this is another one of the tour things that I made, where it's just a loop around a bunch of different enclosures. So this one, as you can probably tell, is... So this is Brenda, named after the character from Gravity Falls, because I like that show. This is the female Giganotosaurus artificialis. It's the one from the movie. It actually looks extremely different to the other ones, like with the long, thick tail, and this thing, and the skull shape. It's just really weird compared to the real one. This is the Dreadnoughtus Shrani, which is the scientifically accurate version. This is Darius, the Dreadnoughtus Shrani male. He's white because he doesn't really need to pigment himself because he's so big. So it's a lot of body to pigment, so he just gave up. So that's sort of what they did. And these are the scientifically accurate, because these are actually really, like, for a Jurassic World game, these Giganotosaurus are surprisingly accurate. Like, the skull shape, they almost got that perfect. Like, I'm not an expert or anything, but this is pretty dang good. Actually, it's better than the Dominion version. So there's Carol, the female, and Greg, the male. So the main difference between these two is Greg has blue eyebrows, Carol doesn't. But they also have differences in the pattern. So Greg's, so let's just get an above view. Greg's sort of back stripe is splotchy, splotchy black with some lighter green in there, while Carol's is just a firm black. So it's another way to tell them apart if you can't see their head. There's also a dome viewing gallery in here because there's two really popular dinosaurs in here, so why not? Like, get double the mileage. And this is the Parasaurolophus lux enclosure. Basically, this is a subspecies of Parasaurolophus that developed bioluminescence for reasons unknown, like in the universe. But it's thought that this helps them find each other at night. And it also helps, and they can use it by running around, and they can confuse predators with their bioluminescence. At least that's some theories, because we haven't really seen any of these dinosaurs in the wild, because they only exist in a zoo in the universe, like in this canon universe. I think that's the canon explanation. Oh man, I could get so much more done if I turned on my camera, but I'm not here and say I can't. It's not enough. And this is another thing that I put into every single park I make. Well, that I've started to. Chris the Acrocanthosaurus with this pattern, because I like it. I like Acrocanthosaurus. This is actually part of the reason. I like this pattern. I like this. This is like one of the park mascots that I made. It's like, if you think about it, the Cretaceous Canada zoo chain would have like mascots that they could like make into action figures and stuff that would be instantly recognizable. So I've heard that SeaWorld always has one orca named Shamu, I think. So at least it's what I've heard. I'm not really sure about it. So this is sort of this Cretaceous Canada's version of it. Not really sure about that SeaWorld thing though. That's kind of what this is. He's sort of just the mascot, Chris. So there's always like a male Acrocanthosaurus who looks like this. Also, I've played around with the stats with a lot of these guys to either give all the herbivores stat boosting things, even though it won't matter because they never even get to fight anything anyways, which is, I mean, I wish the sauropods could kill things, because a Diplodocus could kill a T-Rex with its tail whip. Like, it could. That's just a minor annoyance for this game. So in the meantime, I've just been boosting their stats as much as I can. So if you look here, okay, these guys are strong and defensive. Although, since Tyrannosaurus doesn't really have extremely high stats, it didn't really do much. But it's really oh yeah, so we got some more things to show. But, for example, the Dreadnoughtus, strong and defensive. All the herbivores are strong and defensive, even the Theros. So I made the Acrocanthosaurus, just gave him defensive, because, I mean, he's pretty bulky, so he needs it. Not the greatest attack, though. He has a defense tank. What I do with a lot of the dinosaurs that in real life probably didn't have the best bite, like Spinosaurus, for example, because it attacks with its bite. I'd actually do this with all Spinosaurus. I give them weak and defensive, just to make it more accurate, because I prefer it that way. I don't know. Anyways, I'm getting off on a tangent, so anything I haven't shown yet. I haven't really gone in depth. So these guys, they live on an island. I did this because, again, I felt like it. I thought it'd be cool. So the Mosasaurus, we have 3 of them. They live in the sort of lagoon that surrounds this island where the Magengas live. Don't really have much to say about them. I guess there's nothing else to do. Oh yeah, I made a mountain here because I wanted to. Like, 90% of the things in this park exist because I felt like it. Okay, what's here? Oh, we got a carnival theater. Oh, this is the car cars. Car cars. car charts. So you just got a big old mountain here. This is one of the highest points you're ever going to reach in this park, up on this part of the thing, of this. So anyways, so we have two Carcharodontosaurus. They live here. Pretty sure I gave them different colors. Let me just check. So yeah, this one's got Yukon River and nothing else. This one's orange and Palophylax. I don't know what Palophylax means. Okay. So I've used a lot of species, the species viewer thing, to sort of try to synchronize the colors of a lot of the adults and juveniles. I'm probably gonna have to make a video about the lore. I'm gonna make a video about the lore of this park specifically, maybe. But for right now, it's just I'm just showcasing the park. So yeah, that's what this one looks like. Where's the other one? There you are. That's the other one. So sort of like a brownish, yes. Yukon River, even when it says it's blue, it always makes them like white or gray or something. But yeah, the Amargasaurus. So we've got some Amargasaurus here. A small herd of them, but we've got 4. Did I really make 4? I made 4. How did you get in here? Huh? How? What? I don't know how an Amargasaurus managed to get in here, but it did, and honestly, this is something that actually ends up happening a lot. Like, the dinosaurs somehow managed to get through, like, these gaps here during some of, like, the panicking animations. They get through these gaps, and I don't know what this glitch is, and I wish Frontier please fix. It's really annoying. So, apparently there's an Amargasaurus in here now. Okay. I was not expecting that. So, Spino, where are you? So, this one, we don't actually... So, because this is a really inaccurate version of Spinosaurus, I just went ahead and called it Artificialis, because it's the one from JP3, so I'm just pretending that's, like, genetically modified to look different. But yeah, so if you look here, it's pretty clear these are not the default stats. So, weak and defensive. So, low attack, because Spinosaurus, for its size, didn't really have the strongest bite force in real life. But I did make this guy tank to turn for making him not do damage. And then we have some Suchomimus here, which I'm pretty sure I gave the same treatment. Yeah, so these guys are also zebra pattern, but they don't really look like zebras. But it actually does look kind of cool. Kind of makes them, and it does actually seem pretty stealthy. Like, the lighter color would blend in with the light brown behind them, and it can help them hide in sand. The dark color could help them hide in shadows, so... And also, these guys wouldn't really need to be all that stealthy because they hunt fish. But yeah, I gave them the weak defensive treatment. I actually just made a lot of the medium-sized carnivores weak for no real reason other than their attack was way too high. Like, I actually just gave a lot of them weak defensive because their attack was way too high and their defense was way too low. And also to try and make them a better match for the herbivores their size. I mean, with all the Abelisaurs, by all I mean the 2 in the game, I did that. So these guys don't do a whole lot of damage, but they do, to their screws, they're pretty tanky. I don't know why I even bothered modifying the stats. These dinosaurs aren't gonna fight. I did. So I did that with Carnotaurus. Because Carnotaurus, at least, has been said to not have the strongest bite force, and part of the thing is, like, a lot of the things that they say about Carnotaurus and why it's thought to not have a very strong bite force. At least some people think that, and I agree, because this does not look like it could generate much bite force at all. Like, this head, this teeny little lower jaw, like, this doesn't have room for the muscles to be attached. And it's definitely not strong enough for the muscles. And, like, it's just no. Plus, with how fast this thing's thought to be, it's I'm on the side of the debate where carnivores probably, at least might have hunted in groups, might have taken down larger animals in groups, or there might have been a larger animal in its ecosystem that was able to take down larger prey. But I'm personally on the side that at least if a Carnosaurus was hunting on its own, it would hunt fast. It would hunt smaller, faster prey. Each prediction, you know? But anyways, I'm getting off. So yeah, that's why I did that with the Carnotaurus, because I'm personally on the side of the Carnotaurus. And I took a look at the Majungasaurus's heads, and just find where the heck they live. It's really hard to navigate. Here you are. And they have they have a very similar heads. Their head's a bit longer, so it has more room to attach muscles, but that really teeny little lower jaw does not look very strong. It's very thin. It's just, no, it doesn't look like it could handle much, so I made these guys defensive. So yeah, I played around with the stats of a lot of these guys. So the Lystrosaurus live on this island only. Like, this is the only place they live. That's their home. I'm also thinking about doing a breakout thing. I've already got it ready, where I just destroyed like one wall or a gate or something from every exhibit, and then just watch the dinosaurs do their thing. Because why not? Where'd Tristan go? Oh. That's where Tristan went. Okay. But yeah, I think that's everything for today. Oh, actually, there was one thing I missed. So this is the juvenile Nuclearensis. Again, I did the pattern means male, no pattern means female with these guys, so but I'm using it worse. Worse is the stand-in because they do look yeah, so that was the last thing. So there are 5 juveniles. The juveniles and adults are separate because they don't get along. I was doing a lot of this thing. That's the sort of standard excuse I have for this, but in reality it's because if I ever turned off everything likes each other, the adults would kill the juveniles. Because they're different species that don't like each other. So, yeah. Yeah. So... yeah. That's... oh, the staff area. So this is sort of where this is where the staff live, in one of these staff centers. They live in this one, this one, this one, this one, or this one, or in these... so this is where they keep the higher ranking staff, and some of the lucky ones that just manage to get a spot in one of the bunks here. These are primarily bunkhouses and also research centers. They have basements and stuff, so yeah. But I mean, all the rangers sleep in the response facility because there's room, and that way they're even faster on call. So we've got the hatchery, we've got this thing, which doesn't really do a whole lot. This is the control center. This is decorational, of course. What I have as the control center. I don't know why I made that. Oh yeah, because basically, if you want to get to one of the... oh yeah, because the visitor center functions as a control center. So yeah, this thing literally just brings you to one spot. That's all it does. It connects to that. And guests are not allowed past these concrete barriers. Only staff are. And you also need a special ticket. You also need to get a special ticket if you're a guest to even use the hyperloop. At least that's something that might mention. It just costs a little extra. To make sure that it's mostly just staff that are using this, so they can observe the herd. Because Tyrannosaurus has these guys display some really interesting behavior every now and then. So yeah, this is just in case I accidentally release a dinosaur by just normal release and not by airlift. It's also just another one of those folding exhibits that I made. This is where a lot of the transport cages are stored. This is where the storage containers are stored. This is some garbage apart. So there's another, so you've got a crane here, some more storage containers. So just imagine you worked here. You worked in the storage section. Of course, there's people who fly in by helicopter because they live near the entry points for this park. And they just take the helicopter to work every day. But most people that work here and don't work part-time or something live on site because that's the easiest. So there's actually quite a lot of basements in those. In the staff centers so there's the luxury ones for the more higher ranking employees and scientists because they need, but there's also other ones for the crews and stuff, like the construction crews and stuff, and the transport crews that work just over here, loading and unloading cargo. So at the moment, they're in the process of unpacking this cargo container, but they have some fuel containers, some rows upon rows of containers. They actually have some containers here. This is all the garbage collected from throughout the park, because these guys also deal with the garbage. They do get paid a decent amount because they have to put up with tourists. And I've heard that tourists, according to the park surveys, tourists can be difficult to deal with because they tend to care a lot less about the things around them. That's just something I've noticed. In real life, it's just something I've noticed about human nature. Whenever a person becomes a tourist, they become less considerate and less caring. They don't really care about what people have to do in order for their comfort. So people who work here actually get paid quite a bit just in general, also because accidents, well, uncommon because they're trying to do that, do happen, and because of how big even the smallest dinosaur, even some of the smaller dinosaurs are, such as the Chunkingosaurus, it's just dangerous to get too close to them at all, to any of the animals. Because Chunkingosaurus is pretty small compared to some of the others, like the Pyroraptors, the Dilophosaurus. Again, Chunkingosaurus I think is a good example because it's not a raptor, and it's not venomous. The Pyroraptor is a given because it's a raptor, it's intelligent, fast. And yeah, but the Chunkingosaurus is dangerous because it is a pretty big animal. Anyways, I'm getting on a tangent, so you can go in here. There's storage here a lot. This is actually the first one of this is one of the first aid stations. There's storage shelter here. Someone lives in here, people live in these trailers. And there's this is a storage tent, there's a crane. This is some of the storage paddocks for some of the smaller animals, just in case it's needed. Again, I can't really put things in there, but just go along with me for a second. I'm explaining in-universe canon things. We've got an army of cranes here. There's a bunch of trailer offices, which I'm turning into people sleep in them. It's not very big, but it does have pretty good air conditioning and stuff. Because this is a generator and an AC/heater. Yeah. There's tons of these offices. helicopter, there's some more storage hoses. Yeah. So I think that's everything for now. So if you liked the video, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.